So,
Uh,
yeah, a very warm welcome to Abhay. Abhay, we are very happy, and it's to have you here with us this evening. In fact, it's June 1st, and I was just asking Shaji about the monsoon. So he says, yes, the monsoon is due. The southwest monsoon is due on the 1st of June. And actually, I had the pleasure of hearing Abhay at IIC, and his reading of the poem Monsoon, inspired by Kalidasa's classic in Sanskrit, Meghaduta, it just blew my mind. That time he was, I think, Abhay, you were posted in Madagascar, I think, at the time, right? When you wrote
right, right. That's
Monsoon?
right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Purvi. Thank you so much
Yes,
for having me.
yes.
I'm
So
delighted to be with
we
you this
have
evening.
already put out everything about Abhay's works. And
Mhm.
Abhay is a poet and an artist. And in Monsoon, the painting that features on the book's cover is Utka Naika, or the expectant heroine, drawn from the folio of Keshava Dasa's, I think, Riti Kavya Rasika Priya, belonging to the 17th century. But I will not say much more. Abhay, it's over to you, and we look forward to a delightful evening. And we also have with us Shantam Seth, who will interact with you post your reading. So,
Thank
Abhay, the
you.
evening, yeah, welcome.
Hello to everyone, Mr. Seth as well. And so, how shall we proceed? Should I start reading some poems, or would you ask
Yes.
some questions? Like,
No, Abhay, time is limited. Please go ahead with your reading.
Meanwhile, could everybody else unmute, please? I mean, unmute, please.
Yeah.
well, so uh, let me read some poems from my latest book, The Alphabets of Africa, which had just been published by Penguin Random House. It's a book that takes you across the length and breadth of Africa, not only through geography but also through time. And I think you know all of us, we know so little about Africa actually. Uh, so I thought, why not to introduce you to begin with this wonderful uh, mm, you know book. And so here is a poem on mm, which is called Africa is Everywhere. uh, Light aspires to pierce through the darkness of hatred and ignorance. Learn about Africa, her rich heritage and traditions, music and dance, colors and cuisine. Don't burn in the hellfire of ignorance, screaming the horror. There is beauty and wonder awaiting to startle. Open your eyes, heart, and mind. Africa is everywhere. Africa has everything you can dream of. It has the power and magic to lead you out of the long, deep tunnel of darkness into light. Come, shed your ignorance, bask in the light of Africa. Another poem which I would like to share is about, Mount Kilimanjaro. I think most of us know about Mount Kilimanjaro. Uh, I often think of receding snow lines on the peaks of Kilimanjaro and think of love vanishing from this world. The snow on Kilimanjaro thaws with the rising temperatures. Love recedes with growing narcissism. One day the peaks of Kilimanjaro will run out of snow. One day the world will run out of love. And
Beautiful,
here,
Abhay. I just love this. Yeah.
yeah, here, here. Thank you so much. Uh, here, I mean, uh, a poem on Sahara. You know, the desert. I think all of us identify Africa with Sahara, and it's a poem on Sahara, the desert. Hamada Arg's sand dunes, almost 1/5 of a kilometer. Rakes, wadis, woods, chorts, boulders, outcrops, rock shelters, teeming with rock art, remains of nations that once flourished here. Engravings of the Mesak Plateau, strange mythical beings, enigmatic symbols, giraffes, cattle, humans, weapons. Acacias, Tassili abound with frescoes and engravings. What appears as an arid desert is full of life, full of light. Its sand blowing over the Atlantic, some settling into the sea carrying iron, most ending up in the Amazon, providing vital phosphorus, the light and dust of Africa, feeding the lungs of the world. And then there's this poem on uh, the Library of Alexandria. Some say the great library of Alexandria was burned to ashes by Julius Caesar. Some say it died because of indifference of the successive Ptolemy rulers. Some say the librarians and scholars fled, fearing political persecution. No matter what may be the reason, the great library of Alexandria is gone, like the library of Nalanda, never to return. And here's a poem on Toni Morrison. It's a quote, begins with a quote: "We die, that may be the meaning of life, but we do language, that may be the measure of our lives." Toni Morrison. Beloved, look at me with your bluest eyes. Sing me the song of Solomon that takes me to the days of my childhood. I remember the landlord setting our house on fire while we were all inside because we could not pay the rent. And my parents laughing in response at this monumental crudeness rather than falling into despair, telling me stories, singing songs. And I learned from them never to despair, the power of stories to change our lives. And here's a poem on Ubuntu. Uh, when you see yourself in me, and I see myself in you, when I cheer for you, and you cheer for me, when I feel your sorrow, and you feel mine, when I and you are replaced with we, it's Ubuntu. I would like to share with you a poem called Ramses the Great. It's a it's a poem in response to Shelley's
I don't want
Ozymandias.
people standing.
My name is Ozymandias. It's a quote from the poem of Shelley's poem. My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. This is Shelley. And here's the poem. I'm the greatest pharaoh of all time, my reign glorious and sublime. A restless warrior battling Hittites and Nubians, the sea pirates of Sheridan, Syrians and Libyans. I gifted the world its first peace treaty, a path to live with honor and dignity. I have survived the ravages of time. Along the Nile banks lies my colossus prime. To see my mummy, people from distant lands flock. I'm eternal, indifferent to time's ticking clock. My monumental edifices, gigantic and tender, come now, behold my beauty and splendor. Don't despair, listen to my immortal voice across the vast stretches of sand and rejoice. Here is a poem about Queen Kahina. She was a Berber queen who, in fact, resisted the Arab invasion of her country. Tall and beautiful, I became the queen of the Berbers to resist Arab invasion. Recruiting men from the villages and towns, I plunged into the battle with the spear in my hand. On the banks of Meskiana River, Arabs named me the river of disaster. My scorched earth strategy turned me into a villain. Refusing to accept Islam, I was captured and beheaded, my head displayed as a trophy. Yet, centuries later, I stand as a beacon of hope and light, a symbol of dignity. Pride for the Amazigh across North Africa, like the Budisa of Britain and Genovia of Syria. And here is another queen, because these pages are full of the great heroes and heroines who are unsung, who remain unsung in the history of in the world history. And this is Queen Ninga. Actually, she was Queen Ninga. Also, she was a 17th century ruler of Mabundu people in Angola, and her. Born with umbilical cord wrapped around my neck, I was named Ninga, the one with a twist. I grew up to the sound of guns, became a queen, and ascended the throne. Through diplomacy, defiance, and force, when the war against the Portuguese turned sour, I fled to the countryside and hid myself in the caves. Chased by the soldiers, I took hold of a liana and jumped from a precipice. But they captured my two sisters and paraded them naked in front of the governor. I scored one military success after another, seizing land from the Portuguese. Seeing my strength, they changed their tactics. We sat across the table to negotiate. But nothing conclusive came out of our talks. I allied with the Dutch, and together we almost drove them out. But they managed to make a comeback. I captured two Italian monks and used them as emissaries to negotiate with the Portuguese. Finally, we signed a peace agreement. My voracious sexual appetite became the talk of the town. I took many lovers, male concubines, made them wear female clothing, and addressed me as their king. I wrote to the Pope to be recognized. He acknowledged me as a Christian sovereign. And here is a poem about the great African writer Ngugi Thiong'o. Weep not, child, pick a grain of wheat, pluck the petals of blood, put the devil on the cross. Let the sleeping lions roar, decolonize your mind. And since it's a poem on Chinua Achebe. Since we are talking about Africa, we cannot uh, talk about uh, cannot not talk about Chinua Achebe. So here is a poem on Chinua Achebe. I, the eagle of Iroko, grew up listening snippets of conversations of my evangelist father with an African wizard who traveled all the way to China to find a lamp dressed in a traditional Igbo dress. I sit in my library full of books, whispering, things fall apart. My writing desk cluttered, my composer poised and calm. Birds from all corners perch on the giant Iroko tree to sing the song of freedom, lifting the spirits of millions. I'm wounded in an accident. The great tree falls down. I move in a wheelchair, lost in my thoughts. As far as I remember, I loved stories of all sorts. Stories of the tortoise who lost a battle but left a mark. I ponder over this old African saying until the lions have their own historians. The history of the hunt will always glorify the hunter and begin to write the story of the hunt, the agony, the travel, the bravery, even of the lions. And one poem about, Abdul Razak Gurna, who was recently in Kerala for the Lit Fest and also has written about the experience of being a migrant. I began writing out of homesickness to document my thoughts, experiences of being a refugee in another land, memories of departure, the trauma of displacement kept haunting me. I tried my bit to alter English language and literature, calmly resisting the attempts of the editors to make the alien seem alien, writing of the state's broken promises, the lasting effects of colonialism, the lost homeland, the paradise of Zanzibar, alienation, loneliness of an immigrant. And Mansa Musa, I think, is one of the key characters from Africa who comes across as a great hero. Once the emperor of Mali, I set out on a pilgrimage to Mecca. My caravan consisted of thousands of men and hundreds of camels laden with gold. Dispensing it on the way, 400 pounds alone I gifted to the Sultan of Cairo. My voyage became the talk of the town. I brought an architect from Egypt to build the grand mosque of Gao, and Jingerber Kora was invented during my reign. I set up mosque universities at Timbuktu. Their libraries full of books on law, astronomy, mathematics, teeming with scholars of great repute. Catalan Atlas depicted me handing out a sphere of gold that set the wildfire of greed across Europe. Prince Henry, the Portuguese navigator, set out to discover the Mali Empire, paving way for colonization of the new lands that forever changed the course of the world. And one on Malik Ambar, who is a great link between India and Africa. Malik Ambar, as you know, uh, was the de facto ruler of Ahmednagar, and he was born in Harar in Ethiopia, and he ruled Ahmednagar from 1600 up to until his death in 1626 for almost 26 years. And the surrogate diarist of Jahangir wrote about, his name is Mutamid Khan. He wrote about him, about Malik Ambar in his diary. He had no equal in warfare, in command, in sound judgment, and in administration. History records no other instance of an Abyssinian slave arriving at such eminence. Born at Chapo in Harar, sold to the slave traders, I was taken to Mocha in Yemen, then brought to Baghdad. Converted to Islam, I was called Malik Ambar. Sold again and taken to India to serve as a mercenary in the Deccan, in the service of Peshwa Chengiz Khan. I was one among thousands of Habsis, hired to protect his Nizam Shahi Sultanate, set free only after his death. I got one of my daughters married to a royal scion and became the de facto ruler of Ahmednagar, employing Marathas and Dakshinis in my army, making Maloji Bhosle my trusted aide. Generals after generals were dispatched from Delhi to overpower me. But I stood as an impregnable wall between the mighty Mughals and the Deccan, employing guerrilla warfare, gathering greater land revenue. Jealous Jahangir prefixed my name with choicest cuss words, the ill starred, and asked Abu al Hassan to paint him, shooting arrows at my severed head. In the epic poem Sri Shiva Bharat, Shivaji celebrated me as brave as the sun. I rest in peace in my blessed Deccan, in the valley of saints, watching Khadki, the city I founded, flourish, my fort Janjira ever unconquered. I think these are some of the poems which are for you this evening. Uh, Maybe one poem on Naguib Mahfouz from Egypt. I think his life is very interesting. But Purvi, let me hand it over to you. I think maybe you would like to. I can't hear you. I think you are on mute.
So, yeah. Abhay, what can I say? I mean, the sweeping canvas which you have led us through I mean, I'm still kind of absorbing it. I think the alphabets of Africa, I mean, it's really, I mean, you've led us through everything. It reminded me of, when you say bask in the light of Africa and Kilimanjaro, it really took me, to Hemingway,
The
you know.
snow. Yes.
Yes, and also Hemingway had this short story, Hills Like White Elephants. I don't know if you
Yes.
remember that. Yeah. I often, and your words so powerful, I often think of receding snow lines and
Mm-hmm.
how, I mean, you have been, your writing has always had you have been known as an ecological activist also. Those are some of the terms that have been attributed to you as a poet. And
Mm-hmm.
think of love receding from the world. The world will run out of love. I mean, one side we have melting snows, glaciers, animals in who are endangered,
Mm-hmm.
and yes, we are running out of love. I think Shantam will definitely have something to say about that because, yeah, in Buddhism, we kind of constantly fill our vessels with compassion, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But your Mount Kilimanjaro has really kind of touched my heart. And
Thank you.
the Sahara,
Mm-hmm.
feeding the lungs of the wild. And Alexandria, yes, I remember, going through the streets of Alexandria and the guide telling us that so many cities are buried under
Mm-hmm.
Alexandria, modern day Alexandria. And Toni Morrison's The Song of Solomon, who can forget it? I think she
Mm-hmm.
refers to the air, that anybody, if you can ride the air. There's a famous quote in Song of Solomon regarding that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And, while we were all inside because we could not pay the rent, and I
Mm-hmm.
learned from them never to despair, the power of stories to change our lives.
True
Very,
that.
very powerful words. And Abhay, you are a master storyteller. What can I say? More than a poet. Hmm.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
That's so kind of you.
And
I would like to share a
your,
poem just to, because you brought Buddhism. So here is a female mountain gorilla. Her name is Kiwande. And she
yeah,
was
please
a
go
female
ahead.
mountain gorilla from Uganda who gained prominence after being featured in an award winning photographed by Mazid Ali in the wild, at the Wildlife Photographer of the Year Awards in 2021.
Yeah.
And here is a poem about this mountain gorilla. Her name is Kiwande. I'm Kiwande, the flathead, a female mountain gorilla, listening to the sound of rain, feeling the raindrops falling on my face, as if in a deep trance, serene and calm, peace raining over my face, like a Buddhist nun meditating under the Bodhi tree.
Well, really.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah. Abhay, would you like to read more from, I think, Monsoon? Do you have Monsoon with you?
Yeah, I have this. I have translated also Kalidasa's two works,
Yes,
Ritu
yes.
Sangharam
Please read. Yeah,
and Meghdootam. So
yes,
maybe I think because you are all suffering from summer, so and
yes.
the rains are likely to come soon. I don't know if monsoon has started, but here is let me offer you some Kalidas, as
Yeah,
a
please.
transition between
Yeah,
summer and
please go ahead. Yeah.
yes. So these are my translations from his works. Summer. The savage sun is ablaze. One thirsts to plunge again and again in deep swimming pools, The moon alone the moon alone brings relief at the day's end. Manmatha, the love god, is tranquil. It's just the beginning of summer, my love. After the moon has scattered darkness, people wearing jewels and sandal creams seek relief somewhere, at places with cool water fountains. On such summer nights, my love, the palace terraces fragrant with flowers, wine quivering beneath the breath and lips of women, sweet songs accompanied with lutes and lyres, kindle luminous love of amorous men at midnight, my love. Round hips, their beauty augmented with soft silk and jeweled belts, their sandal pasted breasts shining with strings of pearls, hair fragrant with subtle and lingering perfumes. Women soothe the senses of their lovers with these in the scorching summer. Women with curvaceous hips, their feet colored bright red with laksha sap, their tinkling anklets mimicking the sonorous crying of hamsas, stir desire in the hearts of young men. Breasts painted with liquid sandal paste, adorned with strings of snow white pearls, and round hips embellished with golden girdles. Who can remain indifferent to these and not be filled with restless longing? So these are first six stanzas from summer, and now a little bit of the rain as the in monsoon. Let me share a bit from the I think mon, monsoon is the last one. I think the when it comes to the monsoon season, it's after I think after summer. Rains. The season of rains approaches, my love, like a king, his royal cavalcade in full ceremonial procession. Dark clouds, his war elephants in their rutting season. Glowing flashes of lightning, his tapering victory flag. And roaring thunder, the sound of beating war drums, welcomed by the crowd of lovers with maddening cheers. The sky is overcast with dark clouds all around, glowing deeply like the petals of dark blue lotuses. Somewhere dark like hips of black coal, elsewhere like the dark nipples of pregnant women. Taking pity on prayers of thirsty chatakas, the rain-wearing clouds hang low and go slow, pouring generous showers. The ceaseless tapping of rain sounds sweet to the ears. Clouds thunder like beating drums. Rainbow arches across the sky, and using lightning as its string hurls sharp arrows of rains assailing the minds of lonely travelers. And this is my favorite. Like jet fragments, the green grass rises, spreading its blades to catch raindrops. Rayed Indragopka insects perch on fresh leaf buds bursting forth from the Kandali plants. The earth smiles like an elegant lady, draped in nature's colorful jewels. Roused by the pleasing sound of thundering clouds, amorous peacocks fill the air with their joyous cries, welcoming the rain, throwing themselves into love play, billing and cooing, and begin to dance, spreading out their resplendent feathers. Swollen rivers, surging with currents of muddy waters, rush to meet the sea, uprooting the trees on their banks. So do the lascivious women splatter their men with dirt and rush to meet their lovers to quench their wild thirsts. That's from Ritu Samharam, Kalidas's. Purvi, are you there?
Yeah. Yes, yes, I'm here. Abhay, just totally spellbound and mesmerized by the rich imagery of, monsoon. And, how can one not be filled with restless longing? And the green grass rises to catch the raindrops. I mean, and, the way you've painted the lady, I think no monsoon for all of us will never be the same again as we view it, seen from your imagination.
No, this is Kalidasa's imagination.
Yes,
I'm
in Kalidasa's imagination, your translation, but translation it's a very difficult thing, no, Abhay? Would you like
yes.
to speak a little about the process of translation also?
Well, so I have written in the introduction that before I translated, before I started translating these books, these
Yeah,
two, uh,
yeah.
the world catalog shows 250 editions of Meghduta so far. 250 times it
Hmm.
has been translated. So,
Okay.
so this translation I did because I I I read many of them and I thought that Kalidasa he's a poet and he needs to be translated by a poet, not by another academician.
Right,
So nothing against academicians, but poets bring in something different. So that's
right,
how I came into uh, I decided to translate Kalidasa, and you can see these translations are not rhyming, but I think what really matters here is the imagery, and I have tried to bring Kalidasa's original imagery as true. I mean, I have kept it as true as possible to the modern times in terms of how the language we use today. And so and being a poet always helps you to sort of bring your poetic imagination to translation.
I have
right, right.
the
Yeah.
origin is in Sanskrit, right? The
Yes.
so when you translate that, do you read Sanskrit? You understand Sanskrit?
Yeah. Yes, I have translated from the original, so this book carries both Sanskrit and English.
Yeah, so that is
Not
the
reading
advantage. That is the advantage you have,
Sanskrit.
because you
Yeah.
you you know the mother language.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Fantastic, because that is one thing which is missing in most people. They translate
Yes.
from another translation, so the originality is lost.
Lost, true that.
Yeah,
So here, like, I mean, because I had Sanskrit in my school, so and I in fact I until the pandemic I had not read the whole book, Meghdutam. I had heard of it. While I was in Nepal, I heard of it, that the mythical city of uh, Alkapuri is actually Kathmandu. But beyond that, I had no idea. And it's a story of a yaksha who is banished. But when I was in Madagascar, I got the opportunity because of the pandemic, to read the whole poem.
yeah.
And once I read it, I was so fascinated. I felt that this is the poem. This was the poem waiting for me to be read, and that's how my Sanskrit, learning Sanskrit in school came very handy, because it felt like being, meeting a friend again, which I had lost.
No, the first
Yes,
thing that most of us are going to do is buy the book because
yes,
Oh,
so
thank you.
beautiful is the language. So
yes,
beautiful.
beautiful. Yeah.
Thank you.
I even
Uh,
like the one where you said Earth smiles like a lady, you know. I mean,
Yes,
and the grass, growing to meet
yeah,
the
exactly.
really,
Rising grass.
absolutely
really.
beautiful, so
Yeah,
beautiful. I think this will really enrich our writings too when if we can read this.
No,
yeah,
no,
Thank you
definitely.
yeah,
And
so
Sanskrit
much.
is not so difficult as people make it so, it's a you can easily, make out if you pay little attention to because Sanskrit clubs lots of words, so it becomes long. I mean, the words become long because of the conjugation, but they are, I mean, you would understand, I would say like 60-70%, if you speak Hindi or any of the North Indian language.
yeah. Abhay, do you have Celestial with you? It says a love poem that reimagines the universe. Do you have
Yes,
Celestial with you? Yeah.
I
And would
I
you like to read from Celestial before we go on to a little reading from Nalanda if you have? Because Shantam is there, and then you all can, discuss a little about Nalanda.
so Celestial is on actually on my phone, but let me let me you know I can open it and you know
Yeah.
mm,
Or even
can read.
you can read from the Eight-Eyed Lord of Kathmandu also, since you've mentioned Nepal, no? Whichever you like.
Uh-huh. Maybe some. So, Celestial, let me share something about Celestial.
Yeah.
Celestial is, when I was in college, I used to carry, somewhere I found a poem uh, of Alfred, Lord Alfred Tennyson.
Oh,
Uh,
okay.
2 lines, 3 lines.
Yeah.
It was about, you know, about creating a parliament of man, for I dipped into the future and I saw the vision of the world, where war drums throbbed no longer. So it was an anti-war poem. It was about creating a federation of the world so that countries behave like they behave like states, not as, I mean, so that's it was a profound poem, and I used to carry it in my pocket, in my wallet,
Yeah.
and but I had no idea that it's part of a larger poem. uh, so thanks to pandemic, I got lots of time. I mean, all I got was lots of time in Madagascar while I was. So I read the whole poem. Uh, 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 and when I read the whole poem, the poem is known as Loxley Hall. And
Ah,
I don't know how many of you know it, but it's a poem which I later learned that he was inspired to write a poem when he read an Arabic poem called Mulakat. So it's actually his take on Mulakat, and I was very fascinated by that poem because that poem also carried the mentioned constellations of Orion and the asterism of Pleiades. So, so I had just translated these two books in Madagascar, and I wrote my own poem called Monsoon, which you were mentioning, which is a poem of 150 stanzas. It's a
yeah.
quatrain. It's 600 lines. So Monsoon, I mean, sort of is kind of my take on both books combined,
Yeah.
and it introduces the poem moves along. It's a love poem. It's a poem of love and longing, and it moves along the path of monsoon from Madagascar. As a student
Yes.
of geography, I knew that
Right.
monsoon is at a place called Mascarene High near Madagascar, and it travels north and then reaches the coast of India. So that's how a love poem travels and goes all the way to Kashmir. And so I had just written that poem, and I was like, it was not a rhyming poem. It was a quatrain, but not rhyming. But then when I read Loxley Hall, I thought that I would try writing a poem like Loxley Hall, which is 100. Loxley Hall is 97 stanzas, rhyming stanza. It's a couplet. So to write a poem of 100 stanzas. And fortunately, Madagascar's skies are so clear that you can see in fact, the star constellations with your naked eyes. So one night uh, I, I woke up at 2 a.m. and I looked out from the window looked out of my balcony, and I saw the constellation of Scorpius looking straight at me. You know, I think it was the same experience probably Van Gogh had when he was, just before painting his starry skies. So, and when I saw that, a line came to me: awake each night, I savor starlight. Uh, and then the second line, before the blinding sunlight takes you away, snatches you from my sight. So obliterates you from my sight. So this is how the poem came to me, the first two stanzas. And then I thought of a plot of someone on earth, uh, you know, is searching for one's beloved who has left Earth and is now playing a game of hide and seek in in the running from one star constellation to another. And I had no idea before that star constellations are so important in today's astronomy. And I learned about star constellations through apps, reading about them, the mythologies which goes behind them. And then I realized that there are 88 star constellations which are, as per the Astronomical Union, which are visible from Earth. So this poem, uh, you know, it has a plot where you find, someone on Earth is trying to find one's beloved and has to search in each and every star constellation before finding her or him. So that's the plot, and that's how the poem moves. So the third line, let me share, is I look at Orion's belt, and the third line, look, searching for you or looking for you, no, searching for you, I look at the Orion's belt. Thinking of you, I look at Orion's belt, and all my sorrows melt. So on. So it goes on, and it finally takes you uh, to other constellations, and mm, this celestial is a poem that introduces you to 88 star constellations, but through a story, through poems, through great imagery of star constellations and rhyming couplets.
Right. Yes. Abhay, thank you so much. So now, please, a little bit to the start of your journey, which began in Nalanda. And I so enjoyed the book Nalanda. It really touched, in fact, Shantam just took us on an exhibition to, the Piprava relics. I sent you the photographs. So if you could speak about Nalanda, and then Shantam and you can have a, little bit of
Sure.
a discussion on
Well,
that.
so
Yeah.
I come from Nalanda. I was born there, in a nearby place, which is just next to about 10 kilometers from the ruins of Nalanda and the ancient city of Rajgir. So, and I grew up like studying in Rajgir. Which is the main city there, and now the new university has been set up at Rajgir actually. So, but while I was growing up, I used to visit the ruins, and I would hear all kind of stories, like, for example, if you have been to the ruins recently, the guides there, they would tell me that, this is the library, the largest building which is there. They would say this is the library. It was burning for 6 months, and that's it. I mean, I don't think there was more. And there were 10,000 students who were studying here. That's all they knew, and that's all they told while I was growing up. So that's how, that's what I had. That's all I knew about Nalanda, nothing more. And I probably would not have written the book until the publisher asked me to write a book on Nalanda. And because I had written two poems on Nalanda, which was published in the Book of Bihari Literature, which I had edited. And it's one of the books where you have great literature from Bihar, written in 10 different languages, being translated for the first time into English. So those of you, listening, please do get a copy, if possible, of the Book of Bihari Literature. It's an amazing book. Great stories there, great poems there. From it covers almost 3,000 years of Bihari literature, and in fact begins with two poems by Buddhist nuns. One by Mutta and another by Sumangal Mata. So, and those poems, if you read, you would feel that you like these poems were written yesterday, because they are poems which talk about the liberation of women, and the problems they go through. So that's so Nalanda. So there were two poems which was published in that book, which I had written: the Fall of Nalanda and the Rise of Nalanda, which are also actually in the new book. So the publisher, read those poems and asked me that, why don't you write a book of history, Nalanda's history. So I almost jumped, because I had never, I mean, I'm mainly a poet, I'm not a historian. So I said, why I mean, you mean you want me to edit a book on Nalanda, right? Not so the publisher said, no, I want you to write a book on Nalanda. So I was like, no, I can't do this. I'm not really a historian. How I'm going to write a book of history? And so, uh, but I had I had been asking the publisher to publish my poems. So, so publisher told me that no, they can't afford to publish poetry. So, but if I write the book on Nalanda, then probably they can consider publishing my poetry. So that was the deal. So I took all
No,
the pain to write a book on Nalanda, because I wanted the alphabets of Africa to get published, which is more like a verse. It's a history in verse. Actually, it's a history of Africa in verse. So, so it's that's the story. And then I started searching. I mean, researching and. Um, but what I found was, I mean, when I began writing the book, I was not sure if Nalanda was a university. And I mean. Uh, how did it begin? But as I started writing the book, I came across amazing things which I cannot tell you. It's all in the book, but I came across this philosophy of shunyata, which deeply impressed me. And in fact, I have done around 60 paintings on shunyata, inspired by what I learned. So that was one thing. Another thing I found, before writing the book, I had no idea who is Sariputra or who is Mogliaina, and both are actually the great legendary sons of Nalanda. And Sariputra, as you know, the story of Sariputra, he was elder than Buddha himself, but and he and Mogliaina, who was his childhood friend, and they had made a pact that they would gain enlightenment together. If one gains enlightenment, they will help another to get enlightenment. And they came to Rajgir, I mean ancient Rajgir, and where they meet, they try other teachers like Sanjay Bilatiputta, and then they meet Buddha, whom they hear, and they realize that they are already on the first step of enlightenment. And Sariputra, who passes away before Buddha, he and his role as his first chief male disciple in making the rules for the sangha and canonizing the Buddhist teachings. So I think when Samrat Ashok, he learned about his role in also in putting together Abhidharma, or the Buddhist philosophy. He built a stupa for Sariputra, and not only a stupa, but also at the same time, he established a college or vihara for teaching of Abhidharma, in which Shariputra had played a major role. So that's the beginning of Nalanda, and it takes almost 800 years from King Ashoka's or Samrat Ashoka's uh, building of this vihara to Nalanda becoming a Mahavihara. So it becomes a Mahavihara during the time of the Gupta ruler. So it's it's a great journey, and also the evolution of a vihara into a mahavihara. How a Buddhist a vihara which was established in third century BCE becomes a mahavihara by fifth century AD, and the lineage of teachers, at least from first century AD, from Nagarjuna up to 5th century AD. So you have this amazing story, great characters there, great teachers who taught at Nalanda. So I have all brought it into kind of narrative form, in the sense that each individual's lives are highlighted. What was their role? Who went where? I mean, then the life of two great Chinese travelers, Xuanzang and Yixing, who come to Nalanda, not only them, but also others. So all these things put together, and then the title of the book, How It Changed the World. So my focus was not just that what Nalanda was, but how it has impacted or is still impacting our modern world. So then I learned, how the idea of university evolves at Nalanda, how its architectural plan evolves, how its administration evolves. So all these things are are brought together with facts in the book, and the book ends with global footprints of Nalanda. How Nalanda today is not one but many.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
In
Thank
fact,
you.
it would be lovely if people who come to Nalanda could get like an audio of a part of your book, so that when they go around, they would really be enriched by the history of the place.
There is an audio book. Probably they can get if they want, but it would also be great to have a light and sound show at Nalanda. Because it's something which I feel is required. I think someone should invest.
Yeah. So, Shantam, I would like to invite Shantam now, because Shantam is a regular and at Nalanda. So, Shantam, I invite you to please unmute yourself and to, have a tete a tete with Abhay.
Thank you, Purabhi, for inviting me, and thank you, Abhay. Wonderful, I would say, spread of your, not just your mind in terms of space through Africa, but through the constellations, and then through time, through Kalidas, and really also bringing Africa alive so much. And as Purabhi also mentioned, your blending of the climate crisis with human relationships. So things which transcend that sort of separation. And I think when you were mentioning Ubuntu, for the first time I realized the link between Ubuntu and Shunyata in some way.
Right.
I
Oh,
never
wow.
realized it, but of course, it's because I'm here, there you are, and your suffering is my suffering, and your happiness is my happiness, and there's no sense of separation or this interbeing nature, as we call it. So
So beautiful.
thank you so much for that. It just clicked that,
Oh.
because for us, the continents drifted apart, but actually there's so much which is still linked, right from the baobab trees to the Ethiopian king. But
Right.
I had I mean, as Purabhi said, I've been going to Nalanda now for 40 years. I was also brought up, the first 10 years of my life were in Patna. So my parents would take me to Nalanda and Rajgir, and then I got interested in Buddha Dharma in my 30s. And then since then, I've been going on pilgrimage. So part of the pilgrimage is Rajgir and Nalanda. And in fact, I like to spend 5 nights, 3 nights, 4. People think you're crazy. What do you do in Rajgir or Nalanda for 3, 4, 5 days? But for me, on the whole journey, it's one of my favorite places. But it's also because of the source of the school I'm from is from the Yogacara school, which is developed there by Vasabandhu and others there. But my question really, which I have a couple of questions, but one was that, when you were talking about the architecture of the university, where you see the viharas on one side and the chaitya halls on one side, and how Nalanda really was able to cultivate this rigorous scholarship on one side and also inner transformation. And now I find that universities, though they can often excel in producing knowledge, but they really struggle with cultivating wisdom. Or so, how can we recover some of that balance in modern universities, of bringing inner transformation and scholarship together? And I see in you somebody who's not just a poet, but a polymath of some sort, and a traveler, and also an intellectual in that sense. So, if you have any thoughts on that, I'd love it. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your kind words, for your time, for listening. Uh, it's I truly admire your it's bringing together Shunyata and Ubuntu in the insight, which I think both great philosophies offer. Uh, and Shunyata, Shunyata, in fact, as per as we gather, that Shunyata was given by uh, Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara to Sariputra. So Buddha himself does not speak; he nods. But it's Bodhisattva Avalokiteshvara who gives it to Sariputra, which is another connection, and it happens all in Rajgara at Gridhakut Parvat, which is still there. And I often visit, like you. Whenever I go, I am drawn to Gridhakut. I climb those stairs and sit there and feel the aura and presence of Buddha once there. So now coming to the architecture of the university. So what evolves at Nalanda is the what we known as the courtyard plan. So for the first time, you have this not just a mere courtyard, but a standardized courtyard. So if you look at the remains of the Nalanda Mahavihara, each of the courtyards, they have almost similar structures in the sense size and shape. So that's where it's at Nalanda that the courtyard plan gets standardized, because it's a functional requirement, because monks can live around that courtyard in cells, and they can come to the courtyard for study, for where lectures would happen, and this is on a massive scale, in the sense that it's gargantuan. So this is where Nalanda develops as an institution, aiming to push the boundaries of knowledge, where everybody is staying together, not just the students, but also teachers. Teachers are not different, but they are sthaviras, they are the elders. And they take turns, in the sense that the young they help each other, in the sense there's not a clear hierarchy of having someone uh, only as a student and only as a teacher. They're all in different roles. And Nalanda is designed, in a way where there is the focus is not on seeking jobs as it is today. Because once you enter today the university, your job is to do 3 years of graduation and 2 years of post graduation, because you want to earn money, you want to have a job. But Nalanda students are not entering to seek jobs. Goals are very different. They are entering to seek enlightenment. And that's the fad in that, like, what that's the cool thing, or that's the fad in those times. So you have not two Chinese scholars, but thousands of Chinese scholars traveling to Nalanda or Rajgir, because they are seeking knowledge, true knowledge, or seeking enlightenment. So that's why they are studying everything possible, which is there. Today it's not happening. Today we are studying physics, then we are only studying physics, we have no chemistry, we have no, so specializations are happening. In Nalanda there is no specialization as such. So you are seeking knowledge, so you go into the depth of a broad section of subjects. So that's why Nalanda teaches astronomy, it teaches mathematics. And that's why Shunya happens at Nalanda, because the mathematics of Shunya is being informed by the philosophy of Shunyata. And Shunya happens there. It does not happen anywhere else. While these numbers 1 to 9 are present in the Mauryan times. Shunya only happens in 5th century AD. It takes almost 800 years. And Nagarjuna, who is the philosopher who brings Sunyata, comes to Nalanda in 1st century AD. And after Nagarjuna's philosophy, as you say, Vashubandhu and his cousin, they come from Swat Valley. They come from northwest of India, and bring Yogacara, which actually brings Swensang to to Nalanda, because it's Yogacara Bhumi he is seeking. And so I think the great library, of Nalanda, for example, it's a public good in the sense that the patrons are investing money to create public good. And probably Nalanda has the largest and richest library on the planet during the first millennia CE. So this is today of interest, should be of interest to universities to create, taking example of Nalanda, to create public infrastructure in the sense now we can have a digital Dharmaganj, for example, uh, a global public library which could be accessible digitally to everyone possible. And why I say so, because while I was researching for Nalanda to write Nalanda, I was able to access most of the information on internet. It was not libraries. I went and I returned disappointed. So libraries do not have enough books, but internet provides today a great source of public good. So I mean, digital Dharmaganj could be one of the way to where universities around across the world can share a library, a global library. Second thing could be to have what today's in new education policy it's called multidisciplinary learning, so interdisciplinary learning. So where you are not in a way restricted that you cannot study this or you cannot study that. I mean, I think wherever curiosity takes you, probably we only learn the best where our curiosity takes us. So I could write Nalanda because I became curious about it, and my curiosity sort of helped me to extract information which was already there in different places. So that's the second thing I would say, and the third thing is that uh, uh, education, I think, should be as a public good in the sense uh, the only way I could, rise, uh, because my father invested in my education. My father was a school teacher. He was teaching in a primary school, and but he could spare whatever meager resources he had to educate me. So education is the greatest leveler in the society, and I would say that we should not commoditize education in the sense that you go to private universities, you go to private schools, you go to convent schools to get better education, while rest of the people get average education. I think this is one thing which should be available to each and everyone. Each child, I mean, whether he's poor or rich, should have access to good education, standard education. Thank you.
No,
I
thank
hope
you so much,
Fasil.
Abhay, because no, it's not just I think what is important is bringing that sort of pedagogical thinking and the public goods right to our time and the need for it. And
I think he got cut.
Shantam, yeah,
Hello.
Yeah, I think he
yeah,
got.
I think Shantam has gone off, no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
What a wonderful
So,
thing.
yeah, that was a very interesting discussion, Abhay. And actually, just yesterday, in fact, Shantam it is the 100th birth anniversary of Thich Nhat Hanh, and a new
Mhm.
book is going to come out. So just yesterday, I was listening to the Heart Sutra in Sanskrit while
Oh, wow.
editing something. And, it made me cry because it's what you're talking about. And
Mhm.
Thich Nhat Hanh says the Heart Sutra is a very short text, but it is about the highest kind of wisdom. perfect understanding. And in Shunyata, he says, emptiness here means that you cannot be by yourself alone. You have to interbe with everything else and everyone else. You know? So I think that is what we also require in the world today, to rise above, and what you're saying, to really rise above and to connect the world, whether in terms of environment, people. That is the requirement of the hour. And
True that.
Abhay, it has been such a wonderful evening, I'm sure, for all our poet friends, writer friends. But
Yeah.
I do have to invite the person who has brought all this together, that is Jija Hari Singh, herself a bureaucrat. I think she was Director General, Airports Authority of India. And I first met Jija when I wrote an article about her as a painter. She's a painter, Tanjore paintings she does. As a
Wow.
bureaucrat, that is what she did. So I have to now request Jija Hari Singh to give you a vote of thanks and to wind up the evening. And Abhay, I am really, I'm sure all of us echo the sentiment. It was wonderful, like really listening to you. And so over to Jija.
Shantam,
Thank you.
Shantam ji is also back.
Oh, Shantam is back. Shantam, would you like to complete what you were saying?
No, thank you. I
Shantam?
don't know. I don't know how my connection went off. No, no. It's been very good to. I have a number of questions to talk to Abhay about, but I think another time, and also to
Yeah,
meet
we
Yes,
should catch up
son of
yes,
once, hopefully.
Rajgir
yes,
and
Rajgrah.
yeah, Rajagriha and
yes.
in the lineage of
Yeah.
Shariputra himself.
Yes, and
So
And
Shantam, if
and
you and
Mamogalan.
Abhay get together for a pilgrimage, you're going to take me on that pilgrimage.
no, I think we should arrange for all the members of the group to meet there for a recitation evening.
In fact, I
Yes.
Yes.
think that was a suggestion by someone saying that our next poetry retreat should maybe be Nalanda.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Anuradha. Yeah,
And maybe,
Jija, over to
maybe
you, Jija.
after that,
Over to you.
otherwise,
Over to you.
Thank you, Purabhi. First and foremost, I think I should express on behalf of everybody our mm, huge gratitude to Purabhi who has conceived this evening and brought Abhay and Shantam here. And Abhay,
Thank you.
my God, both these people I had, peripheral acquaintance from earlier times. Abhay was part of the jury of one of the Glasshouse Festival of Poetry from around the world, and of course Shantam, um, one has known for many years now, as more as Vikram's brother, as well as through his through the journeys of about Thich Nhat Hanh and Buddhism. But to get them together and to have such a wonderful evening of poetry where Abhay took us on such a wide range of um, subjects and sensitivities across Africa. That was amazing. I mean, it was really mind-boggling. And then comes the translations that he quoted from. Amazing. In fact, really, I don't think we have ever had an evening so rich as today. And thank you so much, Abhay,
Thank you.
for agreeing to come and spend so much time and sharing so much, such a part of you, such a very important, significant part of you across cultures, across sensitivities, I should say. That was really wonderful. Thank you so much. We are all so grateful to you, and I hope we will have more opportunities to interact with you and learn more about, delve, deeper into knowledge with you, it would be really amazing. Whatever you're planning, Puravi and Shaji, I'm also for it and will be with you in whatever you're doing with Abhay and Shantam. Thank you
Yeah,
so much. Thank you,
yeah,
Shantam. Really
yeah.
wonderful that
Yeah,
we could have
Jija,
you
if I
have
may
a
just say one thing.
conversation.
Yeah, Jija, if I may just quote from Abhay's Monsoon before we wind up, because it brings together everything. So these are the lines from Abhay's poem Monsoon, as it begins its journey from Madagascar. Travelers, and it brings together actually whatever both Shantam and Abhay, whatever they believe in, their beliefs, their systems. Travelers' palms stretching their arms in prayer. Baobabs meditating like ascetics, turned upside down. Giraffe-necked red weevils necking their mates. Fragrant champa flowers, galaxies on the earth. So I really bow
Thank you.
before such luminaries such as these. And they are, Shantam is my spiritual master in the tradition of Thich Nhat Hanh, and Abhay is my inspiration in the poetic tradition. So thank
Thank
you
you.
all for a wonderful evening as I bow out.
Thank you so
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you,
Thank you
Thank
Abhay.
very
you.
much. Thanks.
Thank you for the
Thank
opportunity.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Much,
Thank
Abhay.
Thank you
you,
for
Abhay,
a lovely
Shantam, and
evening.
Jija for this platform. Thank you. And thank
Thank
you for all our participants for attending. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Purabhi.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Shaji.
much.
Bye.
Thank you so
Thank you
Thanks,
very
much.
much.
Purobi. Thanks,
Nice to
everyone.
hear
It was
Okay.
Abhay.
wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank
Nice to
you.
meet you,
Thank
Gigi.
you.
Yeah.
Say hi to Subir.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you all from Baku.
Yeah. From Baku, from
Yes,
Azerbaijan.
yeah.
Yes.
where we should meet sometime for a poetry reading.
Definitely. Look forward to.
Shaji, that is for you to organize. Yeah.
In Rajgara or in Baku.
Yeah, thank
Yeah.
looking for.
Rajgir would be easier, but both are equally inviting. Thank you so much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank
Bye.
Yeah. Good night. Good night, everybody. Good night. Good night, Abhay. Thank you.
thank
Good
you.
night, Shantam, and good night to all our
Good night.
Wow,
participating
Everybody.
artists and poets.
fantastic.
Thank you. Bye.
Good night, everyone. Bye.
Thank you, Jija.
Thank you,
Oh, yes, and
Purabhi.
Yumna. Yumna, I'm so sorry. I forgot to say something about Yumna. Yumna has a backache. Yumna, please say something.
Well, I just wanted to say thank you. Actually, I was enthralled and carried away, and Abhay is somebody that we are so thrilled to have gotten back in touch with, and he's done so much work in the interim that we've sort of just kept a very peripheral eye on. So, Purabhi, thank you for bringing him back to us, and Abhay, thank you for agreeing, and. And I think that as a poets group, definitely our next trip last year was to Kanyakumari, organized by us. I think our next one should definitely be either Nalanda or Baku, both of which are, as Jija said, extremely attractive. And we have the added advantage of having Abhay and Shantam guide us through in Nalanda and Abhay with us, maybe if he's in Azerbaijan by the time we get ourselves there. So thank you. It was really intellectually, I think emotionally, spiritually, poetically, a fantastic journey. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Purubi, for organizing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Good night.
Good night. Bye.